Thank you so much, Mary, and thank you so much for inviting me along to talk with you today. So my name's Sarah Girasoli. I am a biology teacher at St Luke's High School. I am also a forest school leader here as well. So I help with forest school, and we're also trying to kind of roll out forest school more within the authority. So I'll kind of touch on that slightly as well. And then I'm also part of the LfS mentor program, but I'm just going to start just by telling you a little bit about kind of how I have kind of developed into learning for sustainability, and a little bit about our cluster leadership team. So within the St Luke's cluster, we have 2 early years, 3 primary schools, and then the high school that I'm in just now. And approximately about 3 years ago, the head teachers set up what they thought would be kind of like a short life working group to focus on LfS and to really look about kind of streamlining and allowing us to create transitions from early years primary and secondary, all based on learning for sustainability. I am very lucky that I am supported by head teachers in our cluster that really value learning for sustainability, and I know that there's some schools that maybe aren't in that position, so I am very lucky, and we always say how lucky we are for that. We also have, as part of the LfS leaders group, we also have protected time for that as well, so we maybe meet about every 6 weeks. So there's 2 representatives from each of the establishments, and we will meet normally for a full afternoon. So we are very lucky with that, and it's been like that since we got together 3 years ago, and hopefully will continue into the future. So at the start, we kind of had 3 on the screen there. You can see like our 3 kind of main kind of key functions at the start, and the very first one was just to like create a group, a learning for sustainability leader group, so that we could share, you know, really what was just happening in each of our establishments. We don't get a lot of time, other than like maybe transitions from primary to secondary with the P7s. We don't get a lot of time to really go down and just see how each of the schools or the early learning centres, what they were doing around learning for sustainability. So the very first target was to allow us to have that time to discuss really what was going on and how we were all approaching it. We then wanted to then develop and see, right, well, what could we do within our cluster, and what could we then do within the authority in order to really push learning for sustainability forward. We wanted to kind of identify where we could support other practitioners in terms of CPD, what partner agencies we could bring in, and then really what was working well, and then what we could like improve on. Would you be able to just move on to the next slide, please? Thank you so much. I'll not go through all this because that's quite a lot, and I'll kind of summarise it, but this was like our responsibilities at the start, and we've still stuck with this. This was put in place like 3 years ago, right at the start of our kind of project, but we've stuck to this, and we always go back to just kind of remind ourselves what were we wanting to do, and we spent a lot of time, probably the first full year, examining and visiting each other's establishments to see what really worked well. And something for me, I got to go down to visit our early years centres, and I was completely blown away with their approach to learning for sustainability and what they were doing. And it really made us think about how can we create like a pathway from 3 to 18 where they're developing and really building on what they've learned from early years. So for example, I was like out with my second years growing, looking at photosynthesis and growing potatoes and things like that. And when I went down to early years, they were already doing that. And it was quite a moment for me where I was like, wow, we really need to be doing more, and then building on that as they progressed from early years through to high school. So we started that was our very first year. We spent a lot of time visiting each other's establishments and then reporting back on like what we found out and what we thought was good practice, and maybe what was maybe missing and what we could work on. Would you mind just moving on to the next slide? Thank you so much. So that was back in over the year 21-22. So we spent the full year just looking at visits and sharing good practice. Then the following year, what we decided to do was create a kind of CLPL program for our cluster staff, but also for the authority. So we looked at each establishment and we thought, right, well, what could we offer in the authority where we could share good practice? So, for example, one of the early years centres was way ahead with like the rights of the child. One of the other early year centres really focused on outdoor learning. For us at St Luke's, we offered CLPL sessions on forest school and also around equality, because we have a pupil group within St Luke's that are really passionate about equality and sharing and celebrating and sharing information on cultures. So what we did is we put together a programme and then shared that with the authority, and that was really popular. And it was, again, we learned from that, because when we put it on, it was quite it's always a busy time in teaching. I don't think there's any time that isn't, but we tried to make it as accessible as possible for everyone so that they could be able to attend the sessions. And then we shared our resources and things like that within the authority. Then, as part of that year, we also wanted to capture and celebrate the good work that was going on across the cluster. So we created a video, and the links to it there, and we'll try to make sure we share that out after. It is quite long. It ended up being 10 minutes. The video's 10 minutes long. So we wanted to share all the work that was going on and really celebrate it and share it with our community as well within Barrhead, because we have a lot of partner agencies. We're very lucky, we have a lot of partner agencies that work with the school, and we really wanted to share the work that they were doing that then also was incorporating LFS. Now, this year, we have been really focusing on the action plan and the call to action, and we thought that it would be really lovely to have some type of community event where we were sharing with our community the work that goes on from early years up to high school all around learning for sustainability, and also how they could easily be part of that as well. So we decided to have a community event, which was only a few months ago, down in the centre of Barrhead. We spoke to one of the local supermarkets, and they were more than happy for us to set that up there. So each of our establishments created like a wee showcase of what learning for sustainability looks like, and also activities that the pupils that came along to it could take part in, and also the community. The only thing was, it was a typical Scottish day and it was blowing a hoolie, so we ended up we were only there, we managed to bring the poor kids. They were loving it, mind you. I think it was mainly the adults, and we managed to stay there for about an hour before we decided, eek, this is a little bit too wild. I've actually got some pictures of it on the next slide. I should maybe have tried to pop it in there. If you could just put that up. Yep, here we go. So that was a poster that was created that we put out within the community and around the shops and on Twitter, and we advertised and put it out in the newsletters. And then that's some of our you can see some of the pupils had set up their stalls, and then that's a group photo. And then Education Scotland were very kind to lend us their big signs for call to action as well, so you can see that there. And now our plans for next year, we would really like to continue building on learning for sustainability. We have also been kind of looking outwards as well at other authorities and seeing what things that are they doing really well that we could maybe get in touch with them. And we are hoping to run some type of pupil conference. What we would like to do is that we'll have like a pupil leadership group within the St Luke's cluster, within the cluster that I am in, and they will be leading it all, and they will be deciding what LFS themes that they would like to be part of the day. And then they will be inviting along pupils from their cluster, but also the other clusters. That Barrhead High School is also just beside us in their cluster, and they'll invite them along to take part in the conference to make sure that their voices are being heard. within this as well. I think that's really what we've highlighted as our next step. And then hopefully within that, we had plans that it could be an authority event, but I think we've decided we would like to just keep it within the cluster just now and learn from that, and then see what we can do going forward. So that's been our journey, within the cluster. But then as part of that, then my role as LfS mentor has really joined in with that really well, and has meant that I have then been given the opportunity to take part in the 2 days training with GTC Scotland, and then reach out to the other high schools that are in the authority. Would you be able to just go on to the next slide? Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So within East Renfrewshire Council, there's actually 3 of us that are LfS mentors, which has been excellent, because it has really meant that we could get together and discuss LfS within the authority and share ideas, and what could we do that was meaningful, and should we maybe split up into kind of different areas. So I contacted all the high schools within East Renfrewshire just to make them aware that I was here. I could offer support, I could offer any advice, and also sometimes, as you know, LfS, there's so much, it encompasses so much, just somebody to chat through ideas with. So I emailed all the councils just to let them know that I was in this, sorry, not the councils, the schools, the high schools, just to let them know that I was in this position. And a number of the schools got back to me, or had already actually kind of been hearing the work that the cluster was doing, and had already started to kind of make the connections. So things that when we started to do the kind of pilot project, the things that I was discussing with schools in the authority, one of the schools reached out specifically for forest support for forest school. So they came to visit our forest school site, and I spent a lot of time, because forest school, if you've not done it before and you're going through the training, it is a lot to do in the year. So even coming down to our site and talking about the setup of it, how does it fit into the high school day? Because obviously you've not got that class for the full time. It could be, do we do it in like a double period or in an afternoon? So we spoke through all of that, shared our resources, and then also about different locations that we could use within the authority to set up forest school. I then also have helped out to organise CLPL sessions for other high schools, and also organise CLPL sessions within St Luke's as well. And it was really tailored to what the high school felt that would be of most benefit. For some, it was meeting up with just 1 or 2 teachers that were maybe leading LfS, and just really, and most of the time it was listening to see what they were doing, and a lot of people just wanted like, is this the right thing? Am I on the right lines? And all the time it was. I was always totally blown away with how much was going on in schools. But a lot of the time it's like, is that LfS? Am I doing it right? I think a lot of time people just wanted, like, yeah, that's amazing. So I was offering support to individual schools based on what they identified as their needs, and then also making, maybe they just needed a little bit of advice, maybe contacting a partner, or a little bit of advice on one certain topic, which then I could kind of tap into resources I had, or ask the other mentors if they had any other resources. And then from that, it has actually been biology teachers that have we've made more of a link with a few biology teachers in the authority. I think that's maybe just by chance. And they are really, really keen to kind of get some type of LfS group together and try to link in with, like, the senior phase. In high school, it can be easier, a little bit easier. You've got a wee bit more flexibility within the BGE to try to incorporate learning for sustainability. But then as it goes into senior phase, you've got your pressure with your exams and sticking to the SQA, the SQA guidelines and everything that you're trying to get through, and then it can be a wee bit more difficult to incorporate learning for sustainability. So what we would like to try to do, that particular group, is try to incorporate links into the biology curriculum, but make it specific to the area that we are within East Renfrewshire Council. We've got beautiful areas round about us called Dams to Darnley, and we very, very rarely actually go into it to do any type of biological survey or anything like that. So what we would really like to do is get the pupils into their local area to look at the nature round about them, to take part in ecological surveys that then we can give to the rangers. It can go into some type of work that they're doing, form citizen science surveys, so that they are making an impact in their local area as well, and also get time to go outside and enjoy the nature that's round about them. So yeah, that's what we have been up to. Yeah, I think that's about me.
Sarah, thank you so much for sharing all that, and just so much inspiration there, and the journey linking in the cluster, in authority, but those links out to the wider community and beyond, just lots and lots of food for thought.